Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Philip, and I actually want to compare some very interesting entry-level business cards from American Express. And so today we're going to be talking about the Blue Business Cash, and then we're going to be discussing the Blue Business Plus from American Express. So these are very identical cards with some interesting and key differences that we're going to get into. So before we do that, though, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is helpful. And in turn, that means that more and more people are able to view this content, which I really, again, appreciate. So thanks so much for doing that. Let's get into the Business Plus and the Business Cash. So first of all, both cards, neither card rather, has an annual fee. And so if you're someone who has a business and you're interested in kind of building that business or building that business credit with American Express, then these cards are kind of where you're going to start. And so, obviously, the question is whether or not you have a business, right? So I actually opened up both of these cards based on the fact that I last year was earning 1099 income with an AI training company. And so I was kind of essentially working with a company where we would evaluate responses to prompts, grade them, and kind of talk about how they could improve or be more helpful to the end user. And so that was kind of on a contractor basis, right? So I was being paid 1099. And so I used that income to basically justify me having a business for the Blue Business Plus and then later the Blue Business Cash. And so one of the great things I love about both of these cards is, first of all, you earn, so it's usually the standard offer is 15,000 points for the Blue Business Plus card and then $150 or it can be more for the Blue Business Cash card. And so let's take a look specifically at the Blue Business Plus card right now. So this card has $0 annual fee, and then it also earns, so the standard offer was 15,000 points, and I had to spend $3,000 in 3 months in order to get that. Now, there are sometimes quite substantially higher sign-up bonuses for this card. And so if you're targeted for it, it makes your life really, really good. And if you get one of those immediately, just sign up for that. That's awesome. All right, so before we get too far into the rest of the video, I want to talk about, me. So my website, Points of Philip, is a place where you can go to sign up for my newsletter. So that's every week. We send out a newsletter every Friday that gives you the latest news and points and miles and anything else you kind of need to know. And so if you want to sign up for that, that's really great. But also, I offer credit card consultations. And so if you're someone who wants a little bit more hands-on approach when it comes to learning more about credit cards or figuring out what your personal journey probably should be based on your goals and your aspirations, I can definitely help you get there. So we offer a mini consultation that's about 20 minutes or less. And then if you want something a little bit more in depth, a little bit more of a conversation, then we can offer that as well. And so basically, I just wanted to kind of talk about those options. And now let's get back into the video. Another thing that's very powerful is these two cards have 0% APR for the first year of card membership. And so I've definitely used this. So I use this to kind of fund some larger purchases. I forgot exactly specifically what, but I was able to get everything done and paid off before, interest started accruing on this card. And so this is really nice. But this is essentially kind of a wonderful little catch-all because it earns 2x on everything, any purchase up to $50,000 each calendar year. And so with each card member year, I believe, actually. And so the 2% is nice, right? So the 2x is really solid. If you don't spend more than that, then this is going to be a solid catch-all. And but anything past that, so above $50,000, only earns 1.5x back, which is similar to the Business Platinum card, at least for the large purchases. And so this card is nice, right? 2x back up to 50,000 is essentially 100,000 MR points every single year if you're able to max out that category. And so a lot of people use this as their catch-all. I have decided to start using my venture card as my catch-all and then use this specifically for business-related purchases because I have a number of subscriptions that I have to sign up for and then, kind of other things like the microphone and things like that. And so I just have this automatically synced up to my business expense reporter app, and then that way everything just kind of works. And so I know on a rolling basis how much my business is spending based on how high the statement balance is on this card. And so that's how I use it. I actually use it as a business card, but you can definitely use it as a personal card. At least, basically according to how American Express does on their back end. They don't really seem to care that much. In fact, the first American Express offer on this card was for Victoria's Secret, which usually is not a business expense. And so that's, kind of tells you a little bit about where American Express heads at when it comes to how these cards are kind of ranked, at least on their back end. And so this was really solid. I liked this card. And so yeah, this is a solid card. I honestly, no annual fee. It's great. It's great to have if you want to take a break from American Express annual fees and you just want to keep a card that keeps your Amex membership reward points on ice. That's a solid option too. Although you can also accomplish the same thing with a checking account now as well. They still have transfer partners with the checking account, but they may not be as agreeable, right? So they're not going to be, some of them aren't one-to-one, things like that. That's important to note. But yeah, so this is a really great card to keep if you want to keep your MR points on lock. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the business cash card. So the business cash card is very similar, right? So the bones are the same, 0% annual fee, $0 annual fee, 0% APR for the first year. And then, of course, you also get 2% cash back. And you get that 2% cash back up to $50,000 again in spend. And then after that $50,000, it's 1.5% cash back after that. And so the reason I have this card is actually because, well, hurricanes are a thing in Orlando. And so last hurricane season, we actually lost a significant portion of our fence and we had to replace them just because we have, Sadie in the backyard that we wanted to make sure wasn't able to run away, right? And so we had to buy a new fence. It was kind of unexpected, and we did have savings to cover it if we needed to, but I decided to go ahead and get this sign-up bonus for this card, use the 0% interest, and then kind of cash flow, the rest of this purchase, or kind of pay for the rest of this purchase. So we got this card. And then I got the sign-up bonus of $150 and spend after spending $3,000. And so essentially we put the full, I think it was like $3,000 or $4,000 on this card. And, basically I got the sign-up bonus for this card, $150 straight off the top. And then I actually earned 2% cash back on that card as well. And so that was really nice. Basically $200 off pretty easily off the top of that purchase. And then I was able to kind of, basically pay the rest down over time. And so having access to these two cards is nice. Having 0% APR financing on just kind of any purchase you need to make is really, really solid. And so that's what we use that for. And so I actually haven't used it for anything other than that, just because we're in repayment on that. Still, we just have a little bit left over in order to pay it by the deadline. I think December is when it's December 10th is when it needs to be paid off. And so, we have, it was a solid option, right? Would I prefer cash back over the membership reward points? Personally, no. I would prefer to have the MR points because first of all, because I have the business platinum card and the business checking account, I can cash those points out at 1 cent per point. And so essentially this can function as a 2% cashback card at any time, which is nice. But I also really don't like the way American Express does cash back. And so the reason how they do cash back is essentially obviously you have to wait for the statement to close, and then it tells you how much cash back you have, and then you can redeem it essentially for a statement credit. And so money is fungible, and so that's the same thing as being able to deposit in your account, but it feels different. It feels like less flexible. And so it'd be nice to be able to just say, deposit this into my Amex checking account where I can Zelle it to friends or family or even myself or one of my other accounts. And so, there's a bunch of different things to consider here, right? Do you prefer the MR? Do you prefer the cashback? The honest truth is I would not have had the business cash card if it weren't for needing to purchase the fence. It would just seem like a great thing. And another great thing, honestly, about using both of these cards when you are, trying to finance large purchases is these are business cards, which means they don't go on your personal credit unless you do something very, very bad, right? And the only way this will impact your business or your personal credit is if you don't, pay it off, right? If you don't pay it off and you just kind of let it go to collections, then it will absolutely hit your personal credit. And so that's important to note too. And so that's, basically one thing that's nice about it is that I can hold large balances on these cards and it doesn't make my utilization go too crazy, which is solid. One other thing to consider too is that business cards don't have as many personal as many protections as personal credit cards do. So, for example, my wife and I, we used our business gold card overseas while we were, spending towards that spending bonus, right? And so it's important to note that that can be a significant factor, right? So I actually did put a dispute on my business gold card. So my wife and I, we went to Borough Market in London, and we actually got the chocolate covered strawberries. They were really delicious, but they double charged me. And so, I didn't realize it until after I had already gotten, I was actually in Paris by the time I realized it. And so I couldn't go back and say, hey, whatever. So I did try to put in a dispute. It was a little bit more difficult. I had to say that I emailed the business a couple times, and I had to wait a week or so for them to respond. And then I was able to actually put in the dispute, and it actually, worked out really well. But essentially, they do say that it has less protections. I don't have to do the dispute in the same way. Obviously, they did, and this was with the business gold card. So American Express is just maybe a better company to deal with when it comes to business credit cards. But they certainly don't have to, and so that's important to note as well. So anyway, that is just kind of a little way to sum up both of these cards. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Would you prefer to have the Plus card, the Cash card? Do you think any of them are worth being in your wallet? And so anyway, let me know in the comment section below, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Until next time, bye.